About 300 years before Christ, Zeno, who was then a merchant. He was hit by calamity. He lost all his wealth because his property sank with the ship. He lived in Greece, could not be anything because yes, his ship sank, all his treasures were lost. Eventually Zeno came to the bookstore and there he read his work Socrates, and finally he was in love with Socrates. Thereafter Zeno developed his own philosophical teachings which we know today as stoicism. Well, this school of philosophy, which we will discuss in this video. If in Indonesia, this school is popularly known as the School of Philosophy of the Core Philosophy, especially after Henry Manampiring released a book with that title. When you hear the word philosophy, you will probably feel that this seems so complicated. When in fact it is not. I think these values are one of the Stoics that are really easy to understand and practice with everyone. On the other hand, the benefits for dealing with life's problems are very large. Just look. This philosophy can help a Zeno to rise from the huge calamity that befell him. One of the teachings in the current tradition that I think is really cool is the principle of the dichotomy of control. The core philosophy divides the things in life into two categories: first, something that can be controlled, and the second, something that you can't control. What does that mean? What does that mean? Actually, let's see, what is the thing that can't be controlled? And what the hell do you think is the thing you can't control? So, there are so many, starting from world conditions, your own achievements, careers to connecting with other people. A lot of yes. Because actually, according to this philosophy, the things we can control in life are only two. The first is the mind, the second is the action we perform. That's it. So what does it have to do with the same problems in life? Problems in life that we can categorize also based on the presence or absence of control from us in that regard. This is very important so that our reaction to a problem really makes the problem resolved, and so that our reaction does not make us even more troublesome to ourselves, because there are often situations where the stress and anxiety we feel comes not from a problem, but from the way we deal with it. For example, because of this COVID pandemic, we have to study at home, we have to work at home, or even not a few who have even become expelled or laid off from work. Or vice versa, for those of you who are still fresh graduates, it becomes difficult to get a job. Well, it's actually clear that COVID is a problem, but it's not uncommon for us to make things more difficult, compared to trying to make things better. We instead choose to condemn the universe and the situation, while demanding God and the people so that the pandemic can be over soon. And there are also many other responses that are actually not productive for ourselves or for others. But yes, back again, yes. 1,000 times we complain, yes, it won't make it so good actually. Even though it has been a lot of effort, is it in our control? In fact, not necessarily our 100% control. Sometimes our negative response like that actually makes us more depressed and anxious. If Seneca says, one of the philosophers who was also famous, we suffer more often because of our imagination. Because of our perception, not because of the existing reality. What's the conclusion? Do we have to surrender and give up? In fact, there will always be things that can be controlled in the world, that is, the two things I mentioned earlier. The first is the mind, and the second is your actions as well. Although there are only two things we can control, this has a huge impact on our lives. For example, there are two people who are both struggling, for example, because they have to study from home. They are equally difficult, equally dizzy, and both have decreased their grades. But the response of these two people to the problem can be different. Let's just say that one person thinks that this is an irreversible curse. Before Corona was he gave up, he complained, he thought negatively about all things. While the other one, he thinks this, self-reflection, what makes studying at home difficult? Oh, it turned out to be the internet. Oh yes, it has changed the internet. It turns out that the place is a place to study, which many people bother to change places to study and talk about this with their families, for example. Continued, he also diligently watched videos about productivity. He also studied independently, following the web twinkle. With a different response like that, who do you think is calmer when facing the same problem? Who will solve the problem? Surely you already know the answer. No need for me to explain, yes. Already know the answer. It's simply like this: if you feel that you have a problem in life, just think about what can be controlled, your behavior, right? Well, is there anything you can do to deal with it? If there is none, yes, just relax. Therefore you cannot control it, if anyone tries their best. Exhausted maximum effort, take it easy. Why? Because just now, the rest is beyond your control, it cannot be controlled, what you can control is your perception, thoughts, and behavior. If another philosopher says Epictetus for example, the main task in our lives actually, is simply to identify and separate those that have no control over us and which ones we can control. So that we can make choices that we can control. Indeed, applying the Stoic philosophy or the core philosophy is not easy. Not everyone can easily accept what problems they face. Not to mention if we are confused and have a lot of questions. Like anything we can do to deal with life. Actually, if for example you feel confused about this life, lately feel unproductive and feel unfunctional. Well, I haven't told you about the one person I mentioned in the intro just now. So you need to know that Nelson Mandela, when he was imprisoned for 27 years, because of his activities against racism, he read books on stoicism. After he got out of prison, he said that the injustices of the past are indeed irreversible, but we can always deal with them right now to make a better future. Well, after that, yes, Luca, no, yes, it is recorded in history that he became the president of South Africa until he finally got the Nobel Prize.